Armyworms, Spodoptera, are caterpillars belonging to the genus Spodoptera, which contains several species known for their voracious feeding habits. These caterpillars are significant agricultural pests, particularly in warmer regions, where they can decimate crops quickly and cause widespread damage. The name armyworm comes from their behavior of moving in large groups or armies from field to field in search of food, resembling a marching army. Some of the most notorious species include the fall armyworm, Spodoptera frigiperta, and the African armyworm, Spodoptera exempta. Physical characteristics: armyworms are typically characterized by their smooth, cylindrical bodies with varying color patterns depending on the species and developmental stage. They are often brown, green, or black with distinct stripes running along their sides and back. Full-grown larvae can measure between 25 to 40 millimeters in length. Armyworm moths, the adult form, are relatively inconspicuous with dull brown or gray wings. These nocturnal moths have a wingspan of about 30 to 40 millimeters. While the moths themselves do not cause direct harm to plants, they lay eggs that hatch into the destructive caterpillar stage. Life cycle and reproduction. A life cycle of armyworms consists of 4 stages: egg, larva, caterpillar, pupa, and adult moth. The entire life cycle can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days, depending on environmental conditions. Eggs. Female moths lay clusters of eggs on the undersides of leaves, usually near the base of plants or grasses. A single female can lay up to 1,000 eggs over her short lifespan, allowing for rapid population growth. Larvae, caterpillar. After hatching, the larvae go through several stages of growth, known as instars, before reaching full maturity. During this stage, they feed voraciously on plant material, causing the most damage to crops. As the larvae grow, they may exhibit a color change, with younger stages often being lighter and later stages becoming darker. Pupae. Once the caterpillars are fully grown, they burrow into the soil to pupate. During this stage, the larvae transform into moths. Pupation lasts about 10 to 14 days. Adult moths. The adult moths emerge from the soil and mate, starting the cycle over again. The moths are most active at night and are attracted to lights, which can lead to large gatherings in certain areas. Feeding behavior and crop damage. Armyworms are notorious for their aggressive feeding habits. As larvae, they consume the foliage of a wide variety of plants, including cereal crops like corn, rice, wheat, sorghum, and millet, as well as grasses, vegetables, and cotton. They feed primarily at night and often strip plants bare, leaving behind only stems. During the day, they typically hide in the soil or under plant debris to avoid predators. What makes armyworms particularly dangerous is their habit of traveling in large groups. When food becomes scarce in one location, they march in search of new food sources, which is why infestations can spread rapidly from one field to another. This behavior can result in widespread crop devastation if not controlled quickly. Major species of armyworms. Fall armyworm, Spodoptera frigiperta. This species is one of the most destructive and widespread pests, native to the Americas but now found across Africa, Asia, and Australia. The fall armyworm is a serious threat to maize, corn, but also feeds on rice, cotton, and several other crops. African armyworm, Spodoptera exempta, found primarily in sub-Saharan Africa. This species can destroy crops like maize, rice, and sorghum in a matter of days. Outbreaks of African armyworms can be devastating, particularly in areas where subsistence farming is common. Southern armyworm, Spodoptera eridania, native to the southern United States. This species feeds on a wide range of crops, including soybeans, peanuts, and tomatoes. Control and management. Controlling armyworm infestations is challenging due to their rapid reproduction and tendency to spread quickly across large areas. However, several strategies can be employed to mitigate damage. Chemical control. Insecticides are commonly used to control armyworm populations, especially during the early larval stages when the caterpillars are more vulnerable. Pesticides such as pyrethroids and organophosphates are effective, but can harm non-target species and beneficial insects if not used carefully. Biological control. Natural predators such as birds, parasitic wasps, and predatory beetles can help manage armyworm populations. Certain pathogens, including viruses and fungi, can also be used as biocontrol agents. One example is Bacillus thuringiensis (BT), a bacterium that produces toxins lethal to armyworms. Cultural control. Farmers can implement various farming practices to reduce the likelihood of armyworm outbreaks. These include crop rotation, planting different crops each season to disrupt the life cycle of armyworms, Early planting, ensuring crops are planted early in the season so that they mature before peak armyworm activity. Field monitoring, regularly inspecting crops for signs of armyworm larvae and egg masses to catch infestations early. Pheromone traps. Pheromone traps are used to monitor adult moth activity. These traps contain synthetic chemicals that mimic the pheromones released by female moths, attracting male moths. By monitoring the number of moths caught in the traps, farmers can predict when armyworm populations are likely to increase and take preventative action. Ecological impact. While armyworms are often viewed negatively due to their destructive impact on agriculture, they also play a role in ecosystems as a food source for a variety of predators. Birds, small mammals, and predatory insects depend on armyworms as part of their diet, helping to naturally regulate populations in the wild. However, the extensive use of chemical control can disrupt this balance by harming these natural predators, potentially leading to more severe infestations. Armyworms, particularly the fall and African species, are a serious threat to global agriculture, capable of destroying crops in a short period. Their rapid reproduction, group feeding behavior, and ability to move quickly make them difficult to control once an outbreak occurs. While chemical controls remain a common solution, sustainable methods such as biological control, crop rotation, and early detection offer more environmentally friendly and long-term strategies. Understanding the behavior and life cycle of armyworms is crucial for managing their impact and ensuring food security in affected regions. Thank you for watching, guys.